Good afternoon once again, and thank you for joining me on this live talk show. Last month, we were here at the same time on this live talk show talking about how to relate with yourself. And with that, we came about a topic talking about how we can handle abuse. And one of the ways you can relate with yourself is to learn how to let go of any past hurt. Which is actually bringing about the topic for this afternoon. And I'm not going to be alone in the studio tonight. I have someone very important. I call her a senior friend, joining me on the talk show tonight. She's got more than over 20 years of experience in dealing with children, especially I've gotten this kind of challenges in the past. A mother of 5, we're blessing, a child of God, And tonight, I believe God is going to use her to bless every one of us. She works with clinical director. She's a clinical director of the Child, Adolescent, and Family Care. It's a service that provides assessment and the specialized intervention for children and families who are in need of therapy. Join me tonight in welcoming to this live talk show, Dr. Wemi Agboaye. How are you, sister? Thank you so much for joining me. What a pleasure to have you in the studios.
You.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
You look amazing. Thank you so much for joining
I'm trying to keep up with you.
I'm trying to keep up with you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And viewers, can I ask if your friends are yet to be live? Can you share this link with them right now? We're live on social media, on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Periscope. Can you just share the link with your friend? Because somebody is going to benefit from this topic. And I believe God is out to transform their lives.
Okay.
If you have anyone suffering, or even if they have not told you about anything about it, but suffering from abuses, whatever the type is, or even if they are not, even if you are parents, you can connect with us tonight and learn so that your children will not be victims of this. Please share with your friends quickly. Send this link to your friends, to your loved ones, even to your enemies, because they can gain something from this. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us once again tonight. Shall I call you
Wemi.
Dr. Wemi or Wemi?
Just call me Wemi.
You're my big sister, so I call you Sister Wemi. Thank you for joining us once again tonight. You're a mother of 5, and the first time I met you, you were talking to me that you've got your own private set of business, and you were talking about you deal with children, and I was just wondering, and then I never realized that you specialize in the area of therapy and helping young ones that been abused and stuff. And when I realized that you're a mother of 5, you told me you started doing your PhD. I'm like thinking, wow, how did you get the energy to do that?
Oh God.
Tell me a bit about it before we go to this topic.
My children.
The children doing PhD. And I'm thinking, wow, then I only had maybe one child. And I'm thinking, mother of 5, how did you get the energy? What was the motivation to decide to go for your doctorate degree?
All right, I'll make it short and sharp and sweet. I've always wanted to work with children and families. I think in life, God calls us into things, and He makes us go through some experiences. And these experiences we go in life, sometimes you might think, oh, why is this happening to me? And we bind the devil, and I'm not saying the devil doesn't rear his hand, but sometimes as Christians we tend to bind the devil without seeing God in our situation. But I love my mom, I love my dad, but I like keeping it real. So I'm a child of parents who were divorced. And I never knew my mom until I was 10 years old. And if you don't have your mother around, I had a wonderful support system. My grandmother, absolutely amazing. Wow. But if you grow up in the Nigerian culture, when your mother is not around, Yoruba people would say, oh, they've given this child to the leopard to eat. But God takes care of us. I love my father to bits. I love my mother. She might be watching today. But all those experiences and the hurts and the pain they prepare you for what God wants you to do. So I'm not limited by my life experiences. They are just my experiences. My life and the call of God on me is much bigger than that.
Wow.
And so that's what I would say. But growing up and seeing children suffer, I think it used to prick me. And I was validated for that. People would say, oh, Wemi loves children. So maybe I love children. Or maybe people are just validating what God has called me to do in this world. But I knew I wanted to work with children. Wow. So my dad was a barrister, and he would say, oh, Wemi, you're going to be a lawyer. I want you to be a judge, because then you don't have to be traveling about. And I said, Dad, I want to be a social worker. So he said, no, you can't be a social worker.
And everybody's don't my ass.
And so, but when I came here, I was born in England, but I grew up in Nigeria. And when I came back in '94, you have to stay 3 years, then you can apply for free tuition. And so I studied social work, but something kept driving me on. I want to be better at what I do. I want to give the best to the children and young people and families I'm working with. So I trained as a therapist, and then I trained as a psychologist.
Wow.
And so that's my story. And we all share this common humanity. So whatever you are going through, it's a preparation for where God is taking you.
Wow, amazing story.
Thank you.
You know, you said something now. You know, you said you did not meet your mom until you were about 10 years old.
I did not. Yeah, maybe you didn't know that.
I never realized that. And
when you see my mom and I, we're very close. You wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
We have our own healing journey.
And a lot of young ones, whether you're young or old, or I don't know the ages you are, you're watching from the studio, you're thinking, oh, because I didn't have it smooth at the beginning, that can limit where I'm going in the future. And you can hear from, a guest speaker tonight saying she didn't meet her mom early. I don't want to go into the story of what happened.
I didn't meet her because she was living in England and I was living in Nigeria. So that was that distance.
A limitation to you, something you couldn't have at that point in time.
Exactly.
Wow, that's and you said something which is key, and I want our viewers to take that home, take it on board tonight. You said a lot of things we go through in life, it's either one or two ways. You can either allow it to make you or mar you.
That's true.
Some of the pains you had when you were younger, you now thought about it, that might be your strength and where God has called you to use to help other people.
And you know what? I didn't think about it. I just feel like there's something bigger in us, and that's God, bigger than our experiences. So whatever we are interested in, maybe because of my own journey, I was drawn to children. I was drawn to doing things with children. I ran a Bible club in Nigeria. I was, and I just loved children. So maybe it's that thing in me. I had to go through this experience to sharpen me, to prepare me. But it wasn't a conscious, like I'm saying, oh, because I've gone through this, then I'll work with children. It just rolled into it. And
I'm thankful for you because you allowed it to happen. A lot of people, they've had a challenging past and they're really growing up and they think, you know what, God didn't like me. It wasn't meant to be. And you just, just cave in, everything internalized. And before you knew it, you just think, oh, I don't have anything to do about future. And a lot of great futures have been buried just because of the lie of the devil.
That's true.
And one of the reasons why we're bringing a topic tonight is because a lot of young people, either young or old, have suffered from abuse. And because where we come from, Regina, where I come from, if it happens to you, you dare not mention it. Actually,
yes.
But if it's sexual abuse, there are a lot of abuse, which you're going to be educating us on a lot of them this afternoon. That particular one, sexual abuse, actually, when it comes to do with anyone within the family, is something that it's
like a taboo.
Like
you
a taboo. You don't. Even your parents like, where are you talking from?
Shut up.
And I have one of the girls I mentor. She was actually abused by her uncle, and she told her parents, her mom in particular, and the mom didn't believe her, which I felt that was very sad.
Yeah.
And the challenge with it is the girl is here now. She's over 25 years old or thereabouts, and she sees these uncles. They come into the family.
And maybe still abusing other young people in the family.
Because this has to be said out so that other people can be helped.
Yeah.
A lot of, if something like that happened to young at that young age, and you see the guy or coming around your family, there's this bitterness, there's this thing that is there that is not going to go away,
Yes.
And thankfully, she was able to talk about it years later. Not a lot of people can.
No.
And viewers, if you're hearing this tonight, it doesn't matter what you've gone through. If you've gone through it, one of the ways you can break through and be great in life is tell it out. Tell your story. Tell your story. And parents, I want to say this to you. If you have children at school, very young children, and they're saying, my music teacher, my teacher is smiling too much at me, or this is going on, not only the smile, touching. Please don't keep quiet. If any young one is here, this evening, you're listening to this, and something has happened to you, please tell your story. Tell your story until somebody can hear you. Tell your story until you're being heard. Tell your story until somebody is there to help you out. And tonight, I believe by the grace of God, I've got, well-seasoned, experienced speaker that's going to help us with this. And by the grace of God, it's going to bring a lot of healings to as many that have gone through this in the past.
Amen.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
So before I ask you, to go into telling us differences about abuses so that we can educate us better.
Yeah.
Can I ask, if you have not shared this link with your friends, family, please start sharing. Somebody's life is about to be transformed by this talk show.
Amen.
So don't limit it, just share it, because the singular share you do tonight might make a life change to somebody somewhere watching this. Start sharing the links with your friends. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Periscope. Start sharing. God bless you as you do that. Okay, Sister Wemi, abuse.
Yeah.
Can you educate us? What is an abuse? What does it mean to be abused?
All right.
Differences?
When you talk about abuse can take different forms. It can be physical. It can be sexual, like my sister have said. It can be emotional, or just neglecting a child. So when we say physical, I work with Christians or people from diverse communities. Traditionally, people talk about sparing the rod and spoiling the child. But what is this rod that the scripture talks about that we shouldn't spare? Is it just to whack it on our children? Or is it to use that rod to guide our children? So when you beat up a child, and or I've worked with families where the dad will use the flex of an iron,
Wow.
to hit the child, or real cane, putting marks on the back of the child or different parts of that abuse, or using razor. Oh well, you've stolen meat. Using razor to pierce the child and putting chili on it. Now tell me, is that correcting a child?
Wow.
Or is that abusing a child?
Extreme, isn't it?
Or because your child got a poor result from school, you send the child to bed with no food. Now, are we really correcting a child? So I remember when I was young, I had a friend, we were all talking in school, and she said, my parents have never hit me before. And I would say my parents have hit me, but not so much. Well, give your hand and they give four. And I felt, well, that's good. And I'm not saying my father abused me. But what I'm saying here is some of us feel like we haven't got it so much. We weren't smacked so much. And some people would say, well, if you weren't smacked, then your parent is spoiling you. But this, my friend, her name is Abidemi. I'm still looking for her. This is over 30 years ago.
So maybe she's hearing you. If you are there, someone is looking for you.
Most well-behaved young people I ever knew, friends I ever had. She wasn't in fear of her parents, so she could have a relationship with them. She could tell them what was going on in our life. When we're talking about sexual abuse, some children would just not tell their parents because they don't have that relationship. And when your child is so fearful of you, then they keep a whole lot away from you.
Yeah.
And talking about sexual abuse again, there's a piece of research that would say that up to 4 out of 10 boys were abused as children.
Wow.
Now, we talk about girls being abused. We don't talk about boys, but it's not just girls. But there's a bit of shame. And maybe boys are acculturated to say, oh, well, it is like a rite of passage. That auntie showed me how to have sex. But you don't see it as abuse. If someone who is an adult is manipulating you or arousing you before the time has come, then
that's a form of abuse.
It is abuse. We talk about Jimmy Savile here, who everybody knows. He had an interview a long time ago. Do you know Jimmy Savile?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jimmy Savile said he first had sex when he was 7 years old.
Wow.
So somebody abused him and groomed him to be an abuser. and he became a serial abuser. So this thing is not just for girls, it's for boys too. 4 out of 10 boys, 6 out of 10 girls. So if any woman or any, so when you are in a church, or you are in a mosque, or you are anywhere in a congregation, or the chances are that more often than not, more people than not have been interfered with when they were young. So it's a really endemic problem in society, which we need to be, and I like what you're doing here. Let's open up to it. It's not your fault if it ever happened to you. Somebody did something to you. And that's why we say you need to talk. Although when we talk, it's got to be so careful, so you don't just go about and blab it to everybody. Talk to people who can really help and support you. The more you talk about trauma, the more traumatized you can become, because it's unless somebody is holding that space to do the healing work that is needed. It's not just something, so when people just talk about it, they can get more angry because all the repressed emotions will come up again. So that's sexual abuse, and sexual abuse is not just somebody penetrating. It could be somebody showing you pornographic material, somebody just, walking on your body. All these are sexual abuse. Adults having sex in front of children, that's sexual abuse. Children shouldn't be exposed to that. And maybe as we go on, we can talk about how children are groomed. Children can be groomed by an uncle or an auntie giving them a nice piece of dress, or it could even be meat pie.
Wow.
And you just know that this uncle is going to give us meat pie or Fanta. And so they use it to groom the child. I like you. You're really a good girl. You're a good boy. And then they can put pornographic material on while they're grooming you. And that, every human being, we are sexual beings. So all of us. But children need to be chronologically and emotionally ready for it at an age when they are. But when somebody is interfering with a 2-year-old or a baby, then you say, because it happens, some children have never known themselves not being abused. It's been from day one. And it's not just, I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be contentious, because I've had some sisters say, oh, don't let any uncle carry you. Well, what about the auntie? Do you know that some mothers abuse their children? Do you know that some fathers abuse their children? I'm not going to be mentioning it, and this is cross-cultural, across different cultures and people. So it's not just white people's problem, or Asian people's problem, or black people's problem, or this religious people's problem, and when we're Christian, we're immune to it. It happens everywhere. But that is not to say we should be paranoid, but we should educate. We should be more open about talking about these issues, and we can talk. I don't know if you want me to just talk freely, or you want to. Because
that's okay,
because there are signs you can look at to know if a child is being abused.
Thank you very much. I could see you are just so passionate. You are an embodiment of teaching this. That's why even me, I'm learning from you. When you were talking about mothers can abuse their children apart from, or fathers, apart from the physical abuse,
sexually, neglect, everything.
So basically, this is actually very deep. And mothers, if you're watching out there, or children, you're not even too sure this has happened to you. This is an eye-opener for you to start thinking about it. And peradventure, you're there, you're very young, and something happened to you. And one of the signs is you just know each time something happens, you can't put your finger on it, but you know that there's something not right here.
Yeah.
Very recently, I was speaking, one of the ladies, that we talked to, that we kind of mentor, opened it to us and said, oh, anytime I see anybody abuse or something happen to somebody, I just feel uncomfortable. I feel that there's this bitterness. I'm just always upset. And I thought it's gone. It's gone, But I never realized that something was still there.
Yeah.
That means there has been, something that happened to her in the past, but she just buried it. She thought, oh, she'd let go.
Yeah.
And a lot of young people, especially, a lot of young growing adults, something happened to you. Maybe you were abused when you were younger. You couldn't place your hand. You couldn't figure it out, or you thought, oh, you'd let go. But each time there's an action, an occurrence, it kind of triggers what happened to you many years ago. Can you please help us with this? Because I want us to focus
So you're an adult now, but you've been abused when you were a child.
You've been abused, and a lot of parents now, please, one of the things I want to take away, because maybe sometime we do a lot about the children being abused. But as parents now, please, when your children come from school, please help us educate them what to look out for very quickly with the children one, so that it wouldn't happen to our children. We don't have to now be dealing with what has happened later on.
All right.
If you really help us do that, then we can go to the, for people that have been abused. But
so we should talk about preventative before we talk about how you can
you're talking about the
all right. One thing I did with my children growing up, and there are books on this, and there are training materials on it, good touch and bad touch. It's no use telling your children, don't let anybody touch you. That's being paranoid, and maybe because you've gone through some things, you feel like your touch is a beautiful thing. What does the human baby need when the human baby comes into the world? The human baby is the only mammal that depended fully on an adult when they were born. When the elephant calf is born, within a few minutes they begin to stand up. Have you not seen puppies? They have to look for their mother's breast to latch onto it. But the human baby, if you just say, okay, that's the breast, okay, suck. The human baby can't do that. You have to physically. So we are relational beings as human beings. That's how we've been created. So we do need touch. But there are different kinds of touch. There are good touches and that there are bad touches. So it's not every uncle that touches a child that you'll say, oh, don't touch my child. That's getting paranoid. And then,
oh, don't touch, don't go there.
Don't go. Then you are setting up that child to be so paranoid and be suspicious of everybody. But how do we know good touch and bad touch? If somebody is holding you and wants to sit you in a corner where nobody else is, you begin to wonder. You can actually watch your child too, because you don't want your child to grow up just getting paranoid. But if somebody is touching your child on the lap and rubbing it, then you can teach your child. There are workbooks on this actually.
Okay.
So on how to, if somebody is touching a child in their private part or in discreet places, or who is giving you anything today, and if your child comes to tell you, Mom, Dad, Uncle, Auntie, because it could be Uncle, Auntie, and I'm sorry I'm saying this because sometimes people will think it's only uncles and aunties. But I have known when it is uncles and aunties that make known when children are being abused, even by parents. And I'm not saying all parents do this. By far, very few parents do it. More other people. But we shouldn't just say, oh, well. So what I'm saying is, when somebody is touching you indiscriminately and saying, oh, you will like this, I'll give you something you will like, don't let mommy know this, because mommy will die.
You're not letting people know about what is going on.
Yes. If anybody is telling your child, oh, this is our own little secret, don't let mommy know, don't let daddy know, don't let anybody know, don't tell teacher, because if you tell them, mommy will die. These are the kind of fear. So it's not just about the abuse, but they are really playing with the child's mind. So the child will not tell because I don't want my mom to die. But you can also notice if your child stops eating, if your child looks withdrawn, if your child is very fearful where somebody is. When our children tell us this, I don't want to go to uncle's house. Why send your child to uncle's house? And say, it's your uncle, you have to go there. No. That child may know why they don't want to go to uncle's house. You cannot, from my own experience of working with children and young people who've gone through this, you can't force it out of them to reveal. You've got to be friend. You've got to be holding. You've just got to be available. And then they will say, you can't go to your child, tell me if somebody is abusing you. Has that person touched you? You may be feeding your child with what's not there already.
So we shouldn't mention it and make the child be conscious of it.
We should make it. My daughter is there in the audience, and I don't think she can remember when I started doing this kind of, I'll bring the material home and we will read good touch, bad touch. What would somebody say to you? So I'm not making it specific to any individual. I'm teaching my children generally. And because we got that relationship, if it's happening, they will tell me. I worked with somebody who said her mother did all this and then she was still abused, and because she allowed it, she couldn't go back and tell her mother because she internalized it that she was bad. The first thing we need to have for ourselves is compassion, and just know whatever happened, you can tell.
Wow, this is very deep. Thank you very much for this. So basically you're hearing tonight, parents, you can, I think it's nice, it would be nice for us to go for a bit of, education on this, get material. I didn't even think about it that way. Get resources, and it's as if
there are resources out there.
Bible, activities, you're like, oh, come, let's do this together.
There are,
you have not mentioned, did anybody touch you today?
campaigns.
Or did your teacher, even us, we're planting fear in the, suspicion in the heart
If that, we can't be going that. Did your teacher touch you? Who touched you here? Has anybody touched you? You're just feeding the children, but you can, psychoeducation,
which is great. And from there, I think it will help a lot of young people. And even after all this, just like what you just said, even if it happens, even if you still fall a victim.
Exactly.
I think the fact that you can still open up and, believe in yourself, and know that somebody is out there that can help you is quite key. And why we're discussing this tonight is just because somebody is out there that is willing and ready to help you, And above all, God can help you. And if you don't know anything about God tonight, I believe you're going to have an encounter with God. God is the one that can heal you. Heal of every, past bitterness. Heal of every loophole in your heart that you're looking for something to feel. Okay? Thank you so much for this. I just feel like I'm the best student that you're teaching at the studio tonight,
We are learning together.
I don't want to really, be carried away with me enjoying what you're saying, because my children are still quite young, so it's an opportunity for me to take it on board.
This is the time to start.
This is the time to start. Okay. Can I ask, especially for young people, young adults that were sexually abused and didn't have any opportunity to learn or know about all this before now? What are the signs to look out for to know that they're actually suffering from past abuse? What
do you mean, like other people will notice in them?
Notice in them, and even in themselves. There's some times that there's this denial that, oh no, something happened to me, or something didn't happen to me.
Yes.
What are the signs, and how do you want to encourage them or educate them to, or what do they need to do?
All right then. Like you said, I've just completed my doctorate in psychology, and my research was on how psychological therapists develop their working knowledge of dissociation. And dissociation, I'm going to explain this. When some people might have been maybe touched once, they're traumatized by it, but it may not be a big trauma. But when consistently somebody we're talking about sexual abuse today because we talk about other forms of abuse, but children who are neglected, they can be at risk of even sexual abuse or any other, or grooming, because if you don't have time for your children, your child will gravitate to those who will have time for them. And usually, when parents don't have time for their children, it's not because they are bad parents, it could be we have to put food on the table. So you just put a child with anybody to take care of. You don't know what's going on there. A few years ago, I read about a childminder, and I'm not saying I'll put my children with a childminder. It's vetting. It's going to visit when they don't think you're going to be there. It's knowing what to do to take care of your child. So I'm not saying this to be scaremongering. But this childminder and her partner, she allowed her partner, and I'm very open with what I'm saying. You talk about penis. People will say, oh no. But these are real human parts. This man was putting his penis in the baby's mouth.
Wow.
And the mother started noticing discharges from the baby's nose and ear. So took the baby to the GP. And then they took the baby for test. I found it was semen that was coming out of the baby's ear and nose. The mother has to go to work. We've got bills to pay. So I'm not saying that parents, when you leave your children, because sometimes you just, my childminder is ill today, I'll just quickly put it with somebody, put my baby with somebody. We have to watch who we put our babies with. And that's why I always talk about, when I go to minister in churches, I say, we need to form a cooperative. We need to help one another. We're a community. So when you know yourself, like in HOP here, then you know who the sister is, then you can be more trusting. We should watch and vet the people who take care of our children. I know I've not gone into that question that you're asking me about.
Because this somebody needs to hear this.
Yes.
This is just,
so if you've been abused, I was talking about my research, which is dissociation. Dissociation, some people will say it's like you feel fragmented, like sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're just so sad, sometimes you can get so angry. Now, I want you for just this minute or second, just a minute, I want you to think of something that has happened to you in life that you don't want, you struggle to tell anybody. Just take a moment to reflect on that. It doesn't have to be abuse, it could be anything, but you just don't want to tell anybody. And when you've got it, and I'm not going to tell you to tell me, but if I were to ask you to tell me, will you be ready to just tell me now?
I see what you mean. It's very deep.
It's very deep. So part of our Christian kindness or human kindness is not to push people where we don't want to go ourselves. We just need to show love. And if you're here today and you're listening and you've been affected by whatever kind of abuse, it could be sexual, it could be physical, sustained physical abuse is very traumatic. Neglect, abject neglect. You can just, some children grow up with so many lies on their, on their head, not because of poverty, but because there's just no mom or dad around to take care of them. And they're not fed well. They are beaten to sleep. That's actually really traumatic too. So whatever kind of abuse you've experienced, God is with you.
No.
He knows why you went through it. He will see you through it. We're not minimizing it. You can ask God, what is this all about? You can ask God to comfort you. God's comfort is in your heart, and you will be comforted. So no matter what, there's no temptation that has seized man except what is common to God. When we are tempted, when we face all this hardship, God will make a way out for us. So we'll be able to stand up under it. We will not be crushed. So the first message of hope is that you will not be crushed. Wow. So when you notice, some people will say, oh, that sister is always getting angry, and everybody in the church runs away from her because she can just spark any moment. I am interested. What happened? What's your story? Well, I'm not going to go and probe the person, but I go from a non-judgmental attitude. Jesus says, do not judge. If you have not done this before, be the first to cast the stone. So when we see people struggling in our midst, the first thing to do is not to gossip about them, because that is re-traumatizing them. They've gone through all sorts of trauma before, but you should take care of yourself too. The fact that somebody has been traumatized and they keep lashing out at everybody doesn't mean you should just keep taking it in. So what we're saying is self-love. God loves us, but love yourself. No matter how much God loves you, He wants you to love yourself. No matter how much love you're getting from other people, if you don't love yourself, with all this murk, with all these stories that can't even be told, we want to still draw to that inner child in us. That's right. That we want to pull away from. Let's pull towards that child, and we will see gradually who we can confide in. So if you see yourself feeling so sad, you would know what has happened to you. You would know. I met somebody, and because I've worked with so many cases like this, and I want to keep people's confidentiality, so I wouldn't say everything about. But there's somebody I know who, and I'm going to tell the story. The father was abusing her, and then when she was about 5-6 years old, he died. Couldn't tell anybody. Now, who do you tell? So I've lost my dad, but my dad did this to me.
And the dad wasn't no more to tell for the child.
Yes.
Story to.
So growing up, everybody was saying, oh, why is she always absconding from school? Why is she always doing this? Everybody does. Nobody, you don't know any. If you don't wear the shoe, you don't know where it pinches. Basic human love can help us. That, not judgmentally, not thinking, like we all sit in this studio today, we all have our own stories, whatever the story is. Whether it's abuse or whatever, we all have our own little or big traumas, because that's what makes us human beings. Whoa. Our stories. Some can be told, some can't be told so easily. But if I don't have human compassion, if I cannot deal with my own, I may be looking for it in other people, so I can sort them out. But, they said to Jesus, physician, heal thyself. But Jesus didn't need healing, was God anyway. But let us come home to our own self. Let us take care of ourselves. Let's open up to the hearts. But you still need somebody to contain it for you if you cannot do it on your own. To say, so when we work with this, when I work with it therapeutically, I don't go into that trauma story. I build up the person's inner resource. I open them up to that part of them that is bigger than all these nasty experiences they've had, so that they will know, they will get a sense of themselves as being robust. No matter what's happened to you, you are always bigger than it.
Wow.
You are always bigger than your experience.
That's right.
Your experience is not you. It's just an experience. It's just like, anybody who's been to the seaside, you see the waves. They flow in and the tides, they go back. And they come here and they go back. So my emotions, my anger, my sadness, my anxiety, all these memories, difficult memories, all these difficult thoughts, you're worthless, you are demonized, you are possessed. There's this part of you, which is you. It is bigger. It has experienced this, but the core of you wasn't what experienced it.
Wow.
And you are always bigger than your experiences.
Wow, this is great, amazing. Wow, I'm taking all this in. That's one of the things you said, and I think it's profound. It's whatever you have gone through in life is your story. Wow. And we just think some of the things we have gone through is us. And I love the analogy you made of the waves of the sea coming and going. It's just one of those that has to come and go. So viewers, can I ask on Facebook, just type Moyo Lutu. You see me on Facebook, on Instagram, Moyo Lutu. If you have not yet got the link, just type that. Share this link with your friends. We're on air, and it's getting hotter now. It's really getting hotter. We'll be asking the audiences questions very soon. Can I ask that some of the spaces in front to be filled, please? I was trying to send a message. You're not getting that. So we have. So get ready for some of your questions. I've got some questions ready here for you.
Okay.
So viewers, can I say this? Whatever you have gone through, your experiences are your stories, and trust me, some of these stories are what you are made to tell.
Thank you.
And some of you, maybe you're just there. You're thinking, it's something that's is shameful. But somebody is waiting to hear your story when you are ready for it, just like you have just said, And some that you can't tell, that's okay, as long as you can open up and find healing, it's still all right, And I believe today somebody is out there to tell a story that would bring healing and deliverance to somebody.
Amen.
I was watching this Oprah Winfrey show recently, and she was interviewing a young boy. He was 6 years old then, and he was caged by his father and his stepmother.
Caged? That's it.
As in really caged, as in physically strapped and caged. They would leave him there for days.
So that's neglect?
Neglect and
that's physical abuse.
It was a serious
So which one is...
I couldn't even believe that somebody's father can do that.
So
it was later that, I knew that they say he was under the influence of drug and stuff. And for the stepmother, maybe the stepmother didn't want... I don't know what happened to the mother, part of the story. But the good news about it, somehow, after a few years, 2 years, he was let, somebody helped him escape, and he was, So one of the days he was on Oprah Winfrey's show, and another lady was watching that show from another state in the US. And then this young lady has been going through abuse. The father was continuously was abusing her. Mm-hmm. But she was not able to, she hasn't got the confidence to tell anybody.
No, how do you say your father is abusing you?
But the good thing is when she was watching that show, something she got, the boldness and confidence in her to be able to take that up. And all she had was, when Oprah was saying, tell your story to somebody that will be ready to listen to you. Go and look for somebody that will believe in you. And that was how she was able to get somebody that she could confide in.
Yeah.
And that brought about her deliverance.
Amazing.
When you have a father that is constantly sexually molesting you, and you think this is somebody that you should, depend on, because he gives you money, he looks after you. So what are you going to say as a 6-year-old girl? So tonight, if you're there, you need to tell your story to somebody. You're listening to this. God is here to heal you above all.
Yeah.
And that your story is not your limitation, because your future is great.
You're right.
You have been held down for so long because of that past. The scripture I put on this talk show is Philippians chapter 3 verse 13 and 14 says, forgetting the past. And Paul said he's pressing forward. I don't want to preach here because when I go into this, it's deep. You know when you press, you keep on putting your hand, you're not looking back, pressing forward to where? That future. So God has a bigger future for you. You need to let go of that past. And you have been trying to let go and it's not going. Please open it up. Open it up to someone that can believe you. You pray and you'll be healed in Jesus' name.
That story hasn't ended yet. So it is a story, and you can be the author of your own story. People have written on your walls. You can erase some things off your walls.
Wow.
You can put what you want. If it's what says you're blessed indeed.
Oh,
so you can begin to rewrite your story. Wow. The script people have written for you, you can write your own story. You can be the one who will decide the end, not somebody else.
My goodness. I mean, this is revelation, isn't it? So you've had a story in the past, story of abuse, and people think, oh, that girl, there's nothing good there. Oh, that guy, nothing good can come out of her. That was your story. But you can be the author of your story. You can rewrite it. You can erase what is on your wall and rewrite your story. I know somebody is hearing from there. He said, now I'm going to start rewriting my story. Go and get a big rubber, big eraser, and start erasing it. It's your responsibility. Nobody's going to erase it for you, isn't it?
Well, sometimes you will need it. Yes, it's your choice to play. Like you said, the person on Oprah said, you can need somebody to help you along. Because you asked me how the person you may be having flashbacks. Yeah. You may just see something. A story a senior colleague told me. She was working with this person who was abused by her dad, and this person grew up in the 50s. And in those days, they used to wear striped pajamas. Now, the father had died when she was young. But anytime she sees anything that is striped, even zebra crossing, she begins to feel it in her body, palpitation. And she couldn't remember consciously that this happened, but that image, so it may be an image you're seeing, it may be like your body will just be shaking at particular things, because these things give you memory cues. Then you need help. You need professional help. And help is just available.
Help is available. Help is available. Okay, we take a short break, and I'm going to ask some of our viewers if you've got questions ready for us. You feel free to start. I've got a mic there. Anyone who wants to break the ice and be bold enough to. Okay, while you're getting your questions ready, I'm going to take one of the questions that I've got written down here.
Okay.
Someone says this. Right. What if you have put people first? Okay, sorry, I'm trying to get. There's this particular one that says, how can we stop this, especially at home, when it is a relative close to the family who actually abused someone? It's a relative very close to the family. And this individual keeps coming into the family all the time. How can you get it to stop?
You don't let it, because we've had and when I say this, I've worked with people from different cultures. So it's not just an African thing, a European thing, an American thing, or an Indian thing, or Asian. It's a human problem. Some young people will confide in their mother, oh, this uncle or this auntie did this to me, and they will just shut them up. I know a child who was actually put in care because her brother was abusing her. And then the mother is left. Should I choose my son? Should I choose my daughter? And she let the daughter go.
Wow.
What do you say about that? Very similar to this. So I think we cannot keep traumatizing the abused. The person who has abused person, we have to have compassion for them too, because I don't know what has happened to them in their life that turned them into abusers. But they are the people who need to be away. The one who has been abused now, who is not the perpetrator, needs to be taken care of. So to the person who asks that question, because sometimes some people will say in-laws, oh, it's my brother-in-law, it's my husband's big brother or my husband's young brother. What will I say? The family won't believe it. Excuse me, when you don't take care of your child, that child will grow up resenting you, because you are. If my mother cannot take care of me, or my father cannot prioritize my needs, I think we should stand for our children. And sometimes in our communities, we can collude with abusers. We just say, we hold a little conference and brush it. And the child and other people we keep getting abused. In my line of work, what we say is, when a young person comes to sell, I will say everything you're saying to me now is confidential. But if you tell me somebody has abused you or abused somebody you know, I have a duty on the law to let the right people know. Because we don't want you to keep being abused. Right. And we don't want other young people, children, to be abused. Do we want to perpetuate this? We don't want to perpetuate it. So it's been standing up for what is true, standing up for what is just, be a tiger mom, be, a lion or a lioness, protect your cubs, protect your children. If family members won't talk to you anymore because you're protecting your child, so be it.
That's better.
But we will not collude with abuse of our children. Not only say don't come, I actually report it to the police. Because those are the people to tell.
Yes,
or social work, children's services. Because we don't want, because this is why it keeps going on.
That's right.
Because we just keep a lead under it. Oh, we don't want our family name to be spoiled. So let us cover it.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's about, we're trying to protect self-image that is not even there. And a lot of parents against their own children. I think it's really sad.
It is sad.
But I believe things are changing now.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, I will take a question from the audience. Actually, you have a question for us? Yeah.
Hi there. So I know you're great women and so great mothers. And us young people as future parents, which will be, is there any, I would say, tips, help, I would say things that we could do for our future children, because we are meant to obviously carry on our generation. Yeah. What would we be doing to basically put that kind of awareness in our children's, the things that we would do on an every single day basis, so that it is part of their education and that they are more aware of certain things than others?
Oh, bless you. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. How old are you?
I am 19.
19. Oh, bless. That's a really, really useful question. And you know what? What are you doing now?
I am currently studying at a university.
Okay. So you're a university student?
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Mechanical engineering.
Amazing. Oh, my life. You must be very good with physics and mathematics.
Yeah, quite good actually.
See, for you to be a mechanical engineering student, you had to really be good at school. You got good grades at GCSEs, you did your A-levels, now you're at uni. The one thing nobody ever teaches us to do is how to be parents. We don't go to school to learn how to be parents. But God has put people like my sister here to develop this kind of forum where we can share. There are books out there too. I don't think people just get pregnant, or a man impregnates a woman and, oh, I'm daddy. Or a woman gets pregnant, I'm mommy. But we just muck along. But you are asking, maybe this is something we can give to your generation, that actually try not to start a family until you're ready to take care of a child. Build yourself first before you bring a child into the mix. Because I just told about children, many I have worked with, going to be, I don't know if you've heard of what they call latchkey kids.
No, never. No,
latchkey is mommy has to go to work. Maybe dad is not even around, or dad has gone to work, and the child sits at the doorstep until mom comes. Or just wanders off to play with whatever. And when your child becomes feral, they are more prone to being abused. So if you know that you don't have the resources to take care of a child, because you asked that question, I can say that. Be ready.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's another thing. We've talked about education here. Learn from other people. When you're courting, come for this program. You're interested, you're 19, very good age. So you're listening to this. God chose you to be here today. So that you're listening to this is not accident. It's meant to be. And anybody listening at home too, it's meant to be. So listen to other people's story. Listen, learn from what has worked for you too. And we say, train up our children. We read the Bible to them too. We tell them about good touch and bad touch. So a sister asked me a while ago, I think it was in our church ground, and my daughter is there. She was the one who asked me. I keep talking about you, Seta. And my daughter, very young, maybe she was about 8. She said, Mom, what's this on the ground? Oh, I said, that's a condom. And the sister said, oh, Sister Wemi, I wouldn't be able to say that. But that's what it is.
Yes.
Why would somebody put condom on the grass? It means some people have come the night previous. They've been playing around there. You need to open up our children to all these things we don't want to talk about.
Which is actually very
We should read the Bible.
Don't talk about
Don't talk about it. Excuse me.
no.
Your children
They
even
need
know
it.
more. Children in primary school these days.
Yeah, they will teach them outside
Tell
if you
me,
don't teach them. Yeah.
when you were in primary school, were children not talking about these things? Please help me, Michael.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Then we mothers, oh mom, how was I born? A stock brought you. Which stock?
Oh dear.
So these are the kind. We have to be real with our children. We have to break the taboos. We have to make sure we talk to our children so they can talk to us, and they're not embarrassed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make
Yes.
sense.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's quite deep. You know, you're taking a lot of lectures today that you don't have to come and retake. A lot of parents have to come and retake these, but I think it's good when you hear it early in life.
It's wonderful.
And you have in your subconscious that one day that's going to be useful for me and my children when it's time, especially for the young people that are listening to this. And if you're a parent, you're listening to this and you think, oh, I made a mistake, I didn't realize I should do this. There's nothing too late, nothing at all. You know, nothing at all too late. You can pick up from wherever you are now. What is important is your ability to take you from there and take you further and get, healing over yourself, your children, and move on to where God wants you to be. So now we're talking about this because we don't want whatever has happened to you, your story, just like you said, to hold you back from entering that greater future that God asked for us.
Amen.
Thank you very much for answering that question. I will take one or two more questions because of our time. We're nearly, done tonight. Anyone in the audience that got any other question for a speaker? Okay, thank you for that. Where's the mic? Yeah. I've got a question.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. I just wanted to ask you a question about, you were talking about how when someone has experienced abuse and then going to talk to someone that you trust. I have heard of situations, and I personally myself have been in a situation where I spoke to someone that I considered really close to me about an abuse that took place over 15 years ago or so now. And when I gave that information out, I saw my mom in the UK, and she thought that something bad had happened to me. She thought that I was mental or something because of the situation.
Yeah.
Now, when I spoke to the person, it was triggered from a different conversation, and to be honest, it kind of affected my relationship with the person. Now, you spoke about that. How can people be encouraged to still speak? Because thank God it doesn't affect me anymore. And thank God God has kind of dealt with that issue. But my one is for people that now tell someone, especially an auntie or an uncle. In this case, I told an auntie. And, well, like I said, I found myself in a bigger situation where I had to start explaining what had happened. And obviously, my parents felt bad that, they were not able to be there at that time because they were busy. Especially, and with these kind of things, it also happens with pastors' children to a degree, whereby because their parents are
Busy in the ministry,
they're not attentive.
Yeah,
they're not attentive to stuff like that. I wasn't really gonna even mention this, but I was abused as a child, and I never spoke about it because it was always in my brain that something went wrong, and I felt like it affected the course of my relationship life. Now, thank God that was dealt with eventually, but how do I trust someone else to have that information, especially when someone has gotten that information and has misused it? In this case, it's not me anymore, but for someone else that has really trusted people. And then how do people educate themselves, especially within the Christendom? Because schools, they give their advice. Schools, they tell you what they think you should know about that aspect, abuse, sexual education. But we don't really have so much of that in churches or in the Christian community.
We don't talk about it a lot of time.
Yeah. So how does someone pick up the courage, and who are actually the right people to speak to get the right advice? Thank you.
A very good question. And when I finish from here, I'm coming to give you a good squeeze, a hug, a good touch. Thank you so much for being brave Thank you so much for being authentic and real. And you're going to go places.
Amen.
You have not said that today because you just wanted to talk. Something deep in you called on you to say that, to bless people here. And I like it when people keep it real. I don't know about your auntie. May she be forgiven. She did the best she knew how to do. Yeah. But, sometimes people think, oh, tell the pastor. But the pastor might not be the trained person to deal with it, to be candid. I believe, on my email something, I said, open up to the light within. And some people have been questioning me, Wemi, what is the light within? You know what the light in you is. And I know God is in me. Christ in us is the hope of glory. The light of God is in you. You're bigger than all this story. And if you connect to the deep, even in all that pain, you will be led. That's why I'm saying it's dangerous to say, I've just listened to this, let me just go and tell everybody.
Yeah.
Because you will get re-traumatized. These stories are not stories you just keep telling just anybody. Because people, you might be telling somebody who have their own story, similar to yours or even worse, and they are not open to it yet.
That's right. Yeah.
Then you're going to tell them, you'll be triggering something in them, and they want to push it away, so it's your business. You see, some people have this problem. I don't have it because they're not ready.
They're not ready yet.
So we have to be very careful. You're very right. I think, like, if you would be able to point people in church or that you know to the right places to talk to. Sometimes I as a Christian, I believe that we all deal with this. Wow. What you just said to me is just bringing some things to me about how we should be careful who we talk to. There are professionals out there. Unfortunately, I don't want to be political here, our NHS in Britain, or maybe if you're listening to this in any other part of the world, there's even no NHS, there's no counselor. When I was a trainee social worker in the late 90s here, and I was sent to work in a child guidance to have a placement there, I didn't even know what counseling meant. Because in Nigeria where I grew up, did you ever see counselor?
Well, there might be, but
what we call counseling in Nigeria is to go to the pastor or a sister who will sit you down and be advising you. What we call counseling or therapy here is opening it up to find your own answer. It's not me that will be telling you this. So if you come to me, I don't tell you, because what my brain or my life experiences is different from your own.
Yes.
I just open you up to that part of you where it's so deep, you know your answer, because it is there. We're talking now, and I have this, this is Pastor Moyo's pencil, it's here. If I start working on papers, my pen may be covered and I can't see it anymore. But it doesn't mean that the pen is still not there. Have you ever been looking for your pen before and you can't find it? Or your 5-pound note, maybe it's under your quilt or under your pile of clothing, but it's still there.
Yeah, sorry,
go on.
I'm a bit cutting you because I've got just one more minute to come off the line.
Oh, no problem. Sorry.
What we can do about this is possibly maybe after the live show we can carry on. But basically, what you're saying is, in summary, taking time to look out for who to talk to, isn't it?
Take time, talk to your pastor. Still talk to somebody, talk to a professional. In England or in America, the society is trained for you to know somebody to talk to. Because sometimes if you talk to the wrong person, they may shush you up and tell you not to talk.
Okay.
And you don't want that. Right. Maybe talk to somebody who is removed from the situation.
All right.
Who is not in that milieu and will cover it up.
Thank you very much for that. Sorry, I'm just hovering. I've just got a few small seconds to come off the live show. Basically, if you're out there, you're thinking of who do I talk to? I think the starting point might just be to think within. And even out of your thinking within and watching, I believe God will lead is somebody somewhere that you can talk to. They don't necessarily have to be around where you are. If you want your confidentiality to be confidentiality. If you're out there and you have not met Jesus as the Lord and the Savior of your life, that's a starting point. Even when you don't find anybody to talk to, if you talk to God, the healing process starts. And this evening, I want to point to that one that is actually able to heal your soul, and He will deliver you from every abuse in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Pastor Wemi, thank you so much for joining us this talk tonight.
God
bless you, and I hope to see more of you. Thank you, everybody, very much.